Alright, so in this example, I'm given that AB is perpendicular to BP. So AB, I'm just going to write right here, that's perpendicular. I see that EK is perpendicular to KP. Okay, and then I see that BK is going to bisect AE. So this line right here is bisected. Alright, so I really can't draw any markings in yet, so that everything else is going to have to come from my inferences, because I'm not told directly that any angles or sides are congruent. So what can I infer? Okay, well I can Alright, so I can infer that that's a right angle and that that's a right angle. So I can say that angle B and angle K are right angles. And I know that because that's the definition of perpendicular. Okay, well if they're right angles, then I have to go one step further and I have to say that they are congruent. So I'm going to say that angle B is congruent to angle K. And I'm going to say I know that right angles are congruent. So first I had to use the definition of congruent to say that they're right angles, then I could say that they are right angles. And the reason that I had to do that in 2 steps, unlike the one that we did earlier, I think it was example 2 or 3, is because these were 2 separate given statements. So I wasn't told that these formed, before we knew that they formed four right angles, and so they were all together. Whereas here I had one given statement and another given statement. Alright, so I have an angle. Alright, so let's go on to the next thing. So I proved that those angles were congruent. So let's go ahead and talk about bisect. So I know that this line right here is being bisected. So what I know about that is that AP is going to be congruent to EP. And I'm using the definition of bisect. I used that definition to get that information. Alright, and then the last thing is that I see that angle APB is congruent to angle. So if I go APB, then I have to go EPK. And I knew that because of vertical angles. Alright, let's see if I have enough information. So I've got angle, angle, side. So I'm finally ready to conclude that triangle ABP is congruent to triangle EKP. And I'm using angle, angle, side. Alright, so my 2-column proof. Whew, it's a long one. So I have AB is perpendicular to BP given. I know that EK is perpendicular to KP, also given. And I forgot to write down up here about BK. I wrote it over on the drawing. Bisects AE. Alright, so BK bisects AE, also given. I think I'm going to run out of room. So my inferences were that angle B and angle K are right angles, and I used the definition of perpendicular. I said that angle B is congruent to angle K, and I knew that because right angles are congruent. Okay, and then I said that AP is congruent to EP, And I knew that because of the definition of bisect. Okay, I'm going to have to go up here. I ran out of room. So step 7 is going to be that APB is congruent to angle EPK. And I knew that because of vertical angles. And lastly, finally, triangle ABP is congruent to triangle EKP. And that's angle, angle, side. That was a long one. If you understood that, that is probably the most difficult proof that we will do in this section. And when I look at this, I see it's a rotation. Because I see that this angle has rotated down here, this angle has rotated over here.